The accidental heir. Sarah Chen hadn't meant to become the heir to an alien empire. She'd only wanted to document the ruins like any proper space archaeologist would. But that was before she'd touched the throne, before everything changed. The ancient city of the Meridians stretched before her in sweeping arcs of iridescent crystal, still magnificent despite millennia of abandonment. Sarah adjusted her atmosphere suit's recording equipment, careful to document every detail of the forbidden world of Nexus Prime. The Galactic Coalition had declared the planet off-limits centuries ago, but Sarah had never been good at following rules when they stood between her and historical discovery. Initial survey of Sector 7, Day 3, she dictated into her recorder. The architectural preservation is remarkable. These structures show signs of quantum crystalline engineering far beyond anything in current Coalition databases. She paused to scan a nearby archway with her instruments. The Meridians clearly possessed technology that could manipulate matter at the subatomic level. The question remains, why did they vanish? The ruins seemed to whisper with ancient secrets as Sarah made her way deeper into the city's heart. Her boots left tracks in dust that hadn't been disturbed for thousands of years. The site was everything she'd hoped it would be when she'd forged the permits and borrowed her brother's cargo ship for this illicit expedition. Then she saw it, a structure unlike anything else in the ruins, a perfect dome of shifting light, untouched by time, rising from the center of a vast plaza. Sarah's heart raced as she approached. Her instruments went wild, detecting energy patterns that shouldn't have been possible after so many millennia. "This is incredible," she breathed, forgetting to maintain her professional tone. The dome appears to be generated by still active technology. Energy readings are. She trailed off as she stepped through the barrier. It parted like liquid starlight around her. Inside, bathed in soft radiance, stood the throne. It wasn't ornate or imposing, just clean lines of the same crystal as the city, but somehow more alive, more aware. Sarah's scientific detachment warred with an almost magnetic pull drawing her toward it. "I should just scan it and go," she muttered to herself. "Take the readings and leave." But her feet carried her forward anyway. The throne hummed, a sound felt more in her bones than heard. As she drew closer, patterns of light shifted beneath its surface, like schools of bioluminescent fish swimming through deep water. Sarah reached out, telling herself she only wanted to get a surface reading with her handheld scanner. Her gloved fingertips brushed the armrest. The world exploded into light. Energy surged through her suit's systems, through her body, through her very DNA. Sarah tried to pull away but found herself frozen as information flooded her consciousness. Languages, histories, sciences she couldn't begin to comprehend. The throne had awakened, and it was rewriting her at the molecular level. When the light faded, Sarah fell to her knees, gasping. Her suit's systems slowly recovered, but something had fundamentally changed. She could feel the throne now, a presence in the back of her mind like a dormant AI waiting for input. "Welcome, inheritor," said a voice that wasn't a voice. It resonated directly in her thoughts. "The Meridian legacy has accepted your claim." "I didn't claim anything," Sarah managed to say, struggling to her feet. "I only wanted to study the ruins. Intent is irrelevant. The throne responds to genetic compatibility and neural resonance. You are the first being in 50,000 years to meet its criteria. The mantle of the Meridian Empire is now yours." Sarah's mind reeled. This couldn't be happening. She was a researcher, an academic who'd broken a few laws to study ancient ruins. She wasn't prepared to inherit the legacy of one of the most powerful civilizations in known history. Before she could protest further, alarms blared from her suit's systems. Multiple ships were entering orbit. Coalition peacekeepers, corporate research vessels, and others she couldn't identify. Somehow, they'd detected the throne's activation. "Your ascension has been broadcast across all quantum frequencies," the throne's presence informed her. "The galaxy now knows a new Meridian heir has risen. They will come for you. They will come for us." Sarah looked up through the dome's transparency at the gathering ships. Her simple archaeological expedition had just become something far more dangerous. She had minutes, maybe seconds, before the ruins would be swarming with forces trying to capture or kill her. "What do I do?" she asked, both herself and the presence in her mind. "You must choose," the throne responded. "Run and hope they do not find you, or accept what you have become and reshape the galaxy as the Meridians once did." Ships were entering the atmosphere now. Sarah could hear the distant roar of their engines. Time had run out for careful consideration. Whatever she decided would change not just her life, but potentially the course of galactic civilization itself. She took a deep breath and made her choice. The throne's presence guided her through hidden passages beneath the crystalline city, through corridors that hadn't seen footsteps in millennia. Behind her, the sounds of ships landing echoed through the ruins. Voices called out in various languages, some human, some distinctly not. "The genetic restructuring is still stabilizing," the throne's consciousness informed her as she sprinted down a luminescent tunnel. "You cannot access most Meridian technologies yet." "Wonderful," Sarah gasped, her archaeological training now serving a very different purpose as she navigated the ancient architecture. "Any other bad news?" The Coalition's primary response unit has landed nearest to the throne chamber. Corporate mercenaries are approaching from the south. And the presence paused, something like concern coloring its thoughts. "There is an energy signature I do not recognize, something that should not exist." Sarah ducked into a side chamber as heavy footsteps thundered overhead. Her suit's heads-up display showed multiple groups converging on her position. The throne's activation had drawn every major power in the galaxy to Nexus Prime, and she was caught in the middle. "You still haven't told me what exactly I've inherited," she said, trying to catch her breath. "What were the Meridians? Why did they vanish?" The chamber's walls shimmed, and suddenly Sarah was surrounded by holographic images, stars, worlds, vast cities that dwarfed anything humanity had built. "We were the Guardians," the throne replied. "Before your kind had mastered fire, we watched over this galaxy. We shepherded young civilizations, protected them from cosmic threats, preserved balance. What happened? We grew proud. Some believe we should rule rather than guard. The Meridian Empire split into factions. The resulting war. The hologram showed planets shattering, stars going dark. We nearly destroyed everything we had sworn to protect. Those of us who remained chose to seal away our power rather than risk its misuse. The thrones were hidden, waiting for inheritors who might restore our purpose rather than repeat our mistakes." Footsteps approached again. Sarah pressed herself against the wall, hardly daring to breathe as armored figures passed nearby. Her mind raced, processing the implications. But why me? I'm just a researcher who broke some laws to study ruins. Precisely, the throne responded. You seek knowledge for its own sake. You defied authority not for power, but for understanding. Such qualities are rare across all species. Before Sarah could respond, her suit's systems detected an incoming transmission. After a moment's hesitation, she accepted it. "Dr. Chen." The voice was smooth, carefully modulated. "I am Administrator Vale of the Galactic Coalition. I understand you've had an unexpected experience with Meridian technology. We're here to help." Sarah almost laughed. The Coalition had declared Nexus Prime forbidden specifically to prevent anyone from discovering Meridian artifacts. Their help would come with a heavy price. The Coalition cannot be trusted with Meridian power. The throne warned. They would use it to enforce their authority across all worlds. "Dr. Chen." Vale's voice carried an edge now. "We have the ruins surrounded. Let us assist you before the corporations or other interested parties find you first." Sarah checked her suit's display again. The Coalition forces were indeed establishing a perimeter, but they weren't the only ones closing in. Her scanner showed at least 3 other groups moving through the ruins. And something else, a single energy signature unlike anything she'd ever seen, moving with purpose toward her position. Administrator, she replied carefully, I appreciate the offer, but I think we both know the Coalition's help would mean disappearing into a secure facility somewhere. I studied enough history to know how this works. The situation is more complex than you realize, Vale said. The Meridian Throne's activation has destabilized the entire sector. Every power in the galaxy will be coming for you. At least with us, you'll be protected. Protected. Right. More like contained and studied, until they figured out how to access the Throne's power themselves. The strange energy signature was getting closer. Sarah had to make a decision. The Coalition would find her soon if she stayed put, but moving meant risking encounter with whatever else was hunting through the ruins. A new hologram appeared, showing her a path deeper into the city's sublevels. There is a sanctuary, the Throne told her, a place where we can complete your transformation safely. But we must hurry. The one who approaches, they carry echoes of Meridian energy, old energy, dangerous. Sarah took a deep breath. Administrator Vale, I'm going to have to decline. I suggest you evacuate your forces from Nexus Prime. Things are about to get complicated. She cut the transmission before Vale could respond and slipped into the hologram-marked passage. As she moved deeper into the ancient city's heart, she felt the Throne's presence growing stronger. The genetic changes it had triggered were continuing, altering her in subtle ways she didn't yet understand. Behind her, she heard Vale ordering Coalition forces to begin a room-by-room search. Above, corporate ships were landing in greater numbers. And somewhere in the ruins, that strange energy signature was still moving, hunting, drawing ever closer to her position. Sarah Chen, space archaeologist and accidental heir to an ancient empire, pressed on into the depths of Nexus Prime. She had wanted to uncover the Meridian secrets. Now she was becoming one of those secrets herself, and the galaxy would never be the same. The sanctuary waited below, and with it, answers that would change everything. If she could reach it in time. The sanctuary was not what Sarah expected. Instead of another crystal chamber, she found herself in what appeared to be a vast laboratory. Ancient machines hummed to life as she entered, their functions both familiar and alien. The walls were lined with suspended animation pods, most dark and empty, but one was active. You are not the only survivor of old wars, the Throne's presence informed her as she approached the illuminated pod. Some chose exile rather than death when the Empire fell. The pod's surface cleared, revealing its occupant. Humanoid, but definitely not human. The being's skin had a subtle crystalline quality like the city itself, and patterns of light pulsed beneath its surface. A meridian, Sarah breathed. An actual surviving meridian. The last of the Guardians, the Throne confirmed. Karis Vol, who opposed the Empire's corruption and helped seal away our power. His pod was programmed to awaken when a true inheritor was found. The pod began its revival sequence. Sarah watched in fascination as the ancient being stirred, opening eyes that shimmered with internal light. Karis Vol, last of the Guardians, looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. So, he said in perfect Coalition standard, his voice rough from millennia of disuse. You are what my long wait has led to. The human. He didn't sound impressed. I didn't exactly plan this, Sarah replied defensively. I'm an archaeologist. I study ancient civilizations. I never meant to inherit one. Karis stepped from the pod, his movements fluid despite his long sleep. Intent matters less than capability. The Throne chose you for a reason, though I admit I don't yet see it. He cocked his head, studying her. You're still transforming. The genetic modifications are incomplete. Before Sarah could respond, alarms blared through the sanctuary. Her suit's systems showed multiple forces converging on their location. They found us, she said, checking the displays. Coalition forces from above, corporate mercenaries from the east, and... She paused, noting the strange energy signature was now much closer. Something else. Karis's expression darkened, not something. Someone. One of the corrupted. A meridian who embraced the Empire's darker ambitions. They should all be dead. Evidently not. The throne's presence chimed in. The energy signature matches records of forbidden technologies developed during the final war. Perfect, Sarah muttered. So we have the Coalition, various corporations, and an evil ancient alien all trying to either capture or kill us. Any good news? Kara's moved to one of the laboratory's control panels. It responded to his touch, displaying information Sarah couldn't read. The sanctuary contains a functional teleportation array. We can escape to another Meridian facility on a different world. But, he hesitated. But what? The power required will alert everyone to our location. We'll have moments at most to activate it once I begin the sequence. More alarms. The Coalition forces had reached the upper levels of the sanctuary. The corporate mercenaries weren't far behind. And the corrupted one was closing in fast. Do it, Sarah said. Whatever happens, we can't let any of them access the throne's power. Karas nodded and began the activation sequence. The laboratory hummed with building energy. Sarah felt the throne's presence growing stronger, responding to the power surge. Then the sanctuary's main door exploded inward. Administrator Vale entered first, flanked by Coalition elite guards in powered armor. Dr. Chen, he said, as if they were meeting for coffee. And fascinating. A living meridian. This day keeps getting more interesting. Stay back, Sarah warned, though she had no idea how to fight Coalition forces. The throne's modifications hadn't given her any obvious weapons. I'm afraid I can't do that, Vale replied. The situation has escalated beyond simple archaeology. The Coalition must secure Meridian assets for the greater good. More explosions. Corporate forces breached another entrance, their weapons trained on everyone. A standoff, with Sarah and Karas caught in the middle. Then they all felt it. A wave of wrongness, of twisted energy that made Sarah's newly altered DNA recoil. Through the smoke and debris came a figure that seemed to bend reality around itself. Another meridian, but wrong. Its crystalline flesh warped and darkened, its eyes burning with unnatural fire. The throne, it said in a voice like breaking glass. Give me the throne's power, inheritor, or I will tear it from your dying flesh. Sarah looked at the teleporter controls. Almost ready. She just needed a few more seconds. The Coalition offers you protection, Vale said quickly. Sanctuary. For a price, Sarah replied. She could feel the throne's energy building within her, responding to the threat. The corrupted one stepped forward. They would cage you, study you, use you. I offer a quicker death. How about neither? Sarah felt the throne's power surge through her. On instinct, she raised her hand. Crystal energy exploded outward, throwing everyone back. Karas, now. The ancient meridian slammed the final control. Reality twisted, not like the corrupted one's wrongness, but like diving into clean, cold water. The sanctuary, the Coalition forces, the corporations, and the corrupted one vanished in a flash of light. When Sarah's vision cleared, she and Karas stood in a different facility, on a different world. Where are we? She asked, still buzzing with residual energy from her first conscious use of meridian power. A research outpost on the rim of known space, Karas replied. One of many facilities where we developed the technologies that helped us guard the galaxy. We'll be safe here, for a time. For a time. The corrupted one will not stop hunting you. The Coalition will not stop searching. And now they know that Meridian transportation technology still functions. He turned to face her fully. You accessed the throne's power just now, instinctively. You'll need to learn to control it. Quickly. Sarah looked at her hands, still thrumming with crystal energy. I suppose no thanks. I just want to go back to archaeology isn't an option. The throne chose you for a reason, Karas said. Perhaps together we can discover why, and prevent my people's worst mistakes from being repeated. In the back of her mind, Sarah felt the throne's presence stirring with approval. Her transformation wasn't complete, But she had taken the first steps towards something greater than herself. She just hoped she was ready for whatever came next. The Meridian Research Facility hummed with ancient power as Sarah practiced controlling her new abilities. Under Karis's guidance, she learned to manipulate the crystalline energy that now flowed through her transformed DNA. But time was running out. "Your control is improving," Karis observed as Sarah successfully reconstructed a damaged console. "But you're still fighting the transformation instead of embracing it." "Maybe because I'm still trying to understand what I'm becoming," Sarah replied, watching crystal patterns shift beneath her skin. The changes were accelerating. Sometimes she caught her reflection and barely recognized herself. "You still haven't told me everything about why the throne chose me." Karis's expression darkened. "Because the truth is complicated. The throne doesn't just bestow power. It prepared its inheritor for a specific purpose." Before he could elaborate, alarms blared through the facility. Sarah's enhanced senses detected multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. "Coalition signatures," she reported, accessing the facility's sensors through her connection to its systems. "And others. The corrupted one found us sooner than expected." Karis moved to the facility's main console. "We need to reach the vault before they breach our defenses." "The vault? What vault? You haven't mentioned any vault before." "Because I hoped we'd have more time." Karis's fingers flew over the controls. "The throne's true purpose, the reason for choosing an inheritor now, it's all connected to what we sealed away here." The facility shuddered as the first weapons hit its shields. Sarah felt each impact through her connection to the systems. "Better explain quickly then." "The Meridian Empire fell not just because of civil war," Karis said as he worked. "We discovered something, a threat to all life in the galaxy. We couldn't stop it, only delay it. The thrones were created not just to preserve our power, but to prepare for the threat's return." Sarah's blood ran cold. "Return? When?" "Now." Karis brought up a stellar map. Points of darkness spread across it like cancer. "The void entropy, a force that devours everything. Matter, energy, life itself. We sealed away samples for study, hoping to find a solution. The vault contains our research, and a piece of the void itself. More impacts. The shields were weakening. And you kept this secret because the throne had to choose someone who would face this threat for the right reasons. Not for power or glory, but out of genuine desire to protect life itself." He looked at her intently. "It chose you, Sarah Chen, because you seek to preserve and understand the past, not exploit it. Your first instinct upon finding our ruins was to document and study, not to seize control." The facility's outer defenses began to fall. Through the sensors, Sarah detected coalition forces and corporate mercenaries fighting each other as they advanced. Above them all, a ship of twisted crystal, the Corrupted One's vessel, hung like a dark star. The Corrupted One, Sarah realized. They're not just after the throne's power. They want the void sample. Yes. During the war, some believed we could control the void, use it as a weapon. They were wrong. The attempt cost us everything. Karis finished his work at the console. A hidden door opened, revealing a descending passage. "The vault awaits. We must reach it before." The ceiling exploded. Through the breach dropped coalition elite guards, corporate shock troops, and between them, the Corrupted One. Its crystalline form had grown more distorted, wrong angles and impossible geometries that hurt to look at. "The vault," it rasped. "Open it." "That's not happening," Sarah said, calling on her new powers. Crystal energy gathered around her hands. "Dr. Chin," Administrator Vale's voice came from one of the Coalition soldiers. "Think carefully. The Coalition can contain this situation. You don't even know what you're trying to contain," Sarah replied. She could feel the throne's energy surging through her, stronger than ever. The Corrupted One laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "They know nothing of true power. The void will consume all unless it is controlled. The throne's energy can be used to harness it, to remake the galaxy in our image. That's what destroyed your civilization in the first place. Sarah shot back. Some things aren't meant to be controlled. Then die with your principles. The corrupted one attacked, reality warping around it. Sarah met its assault with crystal energy, her archaeological knowledge giving her insight into meridian techniques that surprised even Kara's. The facility became a battlefield as coalition forces and corporate mercenaries joined the fray, each trying to reach the vault. Go, Sarah shouted to Kara's as she held back the corrupted one's attacks. Get to the vault. I'll hold them off. You don't know how to seal it. Then you better hurry and show me. Kara's hesitated for a moment, then ran for the vault entrance. Sarah fought with everything she had, using her transformed abilities in ways that felt increasingly natural. She was changing, becoming something new, neither human nor meridian, but something else entirely. The corrupted one pressed its attack, its power fueled by centuries of hatred and twisted ambition. You cannot stop what comes, inheritor. The void hungers. Better to rule in darkness than perish in light. Sarah felt the throne's presence surge within her mind, showing her possibilities, potentials, powers she hadn't known she possessed. Time to find out what she was really capable of. Above them all, the stars continued to dim as an ancient darkness crept ever closer. The vault doors opened with a sound like the galaxy holding its breath. Sarah fought her way through coalition forces and corporate mercenaries, following Kara's down into ancient depths that had remained sealed for millennia. Behind them, the corrupted one's power twisted reality itself, distorting the facility's crystalline walls. The void sample is destabilizing, Karis shouted as they reached the vault's core. The fighting above has damaged the containment systems. Sarah saw it then. A sphere of absolute darkness suspended in the center of the chamber. Not just darkness, but an absence of everything. Looking at it felt like going blind, deaf, and losing all sensation at once. Her transformed senses recoiled from its wrongness. The throne's power, she realized. It wasn't just about choosing a worthy heir. You needed someone who could interface with your containment technology. Yes, Kara's worked frantically at the vault's controls. The sample is just a fragment, but if it breaks free, a blast of twisted energy threw them both back. The corrupted one emerged from the shadows, its form now barely recognizable as humanoid. At last, it rasped. The power to unmake creation itself. Coalition forces and corporate mercenaries poured into the vault behind it, weapons raised. Administrator Vale stepped forward. Nobody move, he ordered. The coalition is taking control of this facility and all Meridian assets within it. The corrupted one laughed that glass-breaking laugh. Fool, you cannot control this. The void consumes all. It reached toward the sphere of darkness. Watch as I show you true power. No, Karis shouted, but it was too late. The corrupted one's touch shattered the containment field. The sphere of darkness pulsed, expanded, began to grow. Sarah felt reality itself starting to unravel around them. Coalition soldiers and corporate mercenaries turned to run, but there was nowhere to go. The sample will keep growing, Karis said grimly. It will consume this facility, this planet, eventually this entire sector. Nothing can stop it now. Nothing except the throne's power, the corrupted one declared. Join me, inheritor. Together we can control it, become gods. Sora looked at the spreading darkness, then at her hands glowing with crystal energy. The throne's presence filled her mind, showing her possibilities, potential futures branching out like stars. She saw it then, why she had really been chosen. Not for her ability to control power, but for her understanding of how to preserve things, how to protect them. You're wrong, she told the corrupted one. Some things aren't meant to be controlled. Some things should stay buried in the past. She reached out, not to the void, but to the facility itself. Through her connection to the throne, she touched every crystal, every circuit, every particle of Meridian technology. She felt Karis's surprise as he realized what she was doing. The whole facility, he breathed. You're interfacing with all of it at once. I'm an archaeologist, Sarah said, crystal energy blazing around her. I know how to preserve things. And sometimes the only way to preserve something is to let it end. She pulled on every scrap of power the facility possessed, drawing it into herself through the throne's connection. The corrupted one realized too late what she intended. Stop her, it screamed. She'll destroy everything. No, Sarah corrected. I'm going to save everything. With a thought, she inverted the facility's power, creating a containment field larger than any the Meridians had ever built. But instead of trying to contain the void, she turned the field inward. The vault, the facility, all of it began to fold in on itself, taking the void sample with it. Coalition forces and mercenaries flowed in terror. The corrupted one tried to stop her but couldn't break through the field of power she had created. Karis, she gasped through the strain. Get out of here. Get everyone out. The ancient Meridian looked at her with newfound respect. The throne chose well, he said. Then he was gone, evacuating the others. Sarah stood alone in the collapsing facility, holding reality itself together through sheer will. The throne's presence surged through her, supporting her, showing her exactly what needed to be done. The corrupted one made one last attempt to reach the void sample. You'll die too. Maybe, Sarah agreed, but I'll die protecting something. Unlike you. With a final surge of power, she brought it all inward. The facility, the void sample, the twisted remains of the corrupted one. All of it collapsed into a point smaller than an atom, then vanished forever. Sarah Chen, space archaeologist and last inheritor of the Meridian throne, fell through darkness. She woke to stars. She was on a ship, one built of familiar crystalline technology. Karis sat nearby, watching her with those luminous eyes. You survived, he said simply. The throne's power protected you, pulled you out at the last moment. The void sample. Gone, along with all of our most dangerous secrets. He paused. You did what my people never could. You chose to destroy power rather than risk its misuse. Sarah sat up carefully, feeling the throne's presence still with her, changed but not diminished. What happens now? Now. Karis actually smiled. Now we rebuild. The right way this time. The coalition and the corporations will keep searching for Meridian technology, but the truly dangerous weapons are gone, and they have you to contend with. Me? A proper inheritor. One who understands that preservation sometimes means letting go of the past to protect the future. He stood. There are other Meridian facilities out there. Other secrets that need proper guardianship, if you're willing to continue what you've begun. Sarah looked out at the stars, feeling the crystal energy flowing through her transformed body. She was neither human nor Meridian now, but something new. Something that could bridge past and future. Well, she said with a smile, I did always want to study ancient civilizations, though this isn't quite what I had in mind. The best discoveries rarely are. The ship turned toward distant stars, carrying humanity's first guardian and the last of the ancient Meridians toward whatever waited in the endless dark. Behind them, the galaxy spun on, changed forever by an archaeologist who had simply wanted to understand the past, and in doing so, had helped preserve its future. Sarah felt the throne's presence hum with approval. There would be more challenges ahead, more secrets to uncover, more choices between power and preservation. She was ready for them all.